Hi everyone, my name is Rachel and I'm teaching production for streaming from script to screen. This class offers a behind-the-scenes look at how a production team works in animation. In this class, you'll learn how a show moves through its pipeline with production's help, from script to final delivery, and everything in between. Production plays a key part in the entire process. We'll break down real workflows, team roles, how departments collaborate, and how to keep a production on track. You'll also get tips on the soft skills that you'll need to succeed in the role, learn how to use industry production software through tutorials, and learn more about what studios are looking for in production-savvy talent.
To every single person backing me on Patreon, you are the heartbeat of this journey. Your belief in what I do transforms simple ideas into the content you see here. And it is the reason I can dedicate every day to this mission. It is more than just support. It is the fuel that keeps this creative fire burning and allows me to show up for you full time. If you feel called to help build the future of this podcast, scan the QR code on your screen and join our community. A very special thank you goes out to Jamar Meeks, Elena Sosadeco, Kay Fernandez, Lucius Lau, Jackson Frazier, Munya Chisonweek, Mark Estrada, Shahira Menrina, Isabella Maria Mengat, Avish Kumar, Knight Tis Koyama, Gabriel Diaz, Lorena Giselle Garcia, Martin Cabrera Pavez, Diego Navarro Lunares, Rodolfo Fernandez, Taylor Hunter, Allison Stalker, Cal Tourette, An Tree, Savannah Wolford, Joshua Wald, Roddick J. Rebecca, Linda Gabriela Peña Avalos, IPEC Soret. Thank you all so much for supporting me on Patreon. Well, welcome everyone to the ADC podcast. I am your host, Andres Isaac Alvarez, and I have an incredible guest today, Rachel Marx, one of the most incredible people that I've met in my career. I feel sort of connected too because I think when we first met, it was like through the storyboard class or one of the storyboard classes I was doing. But we actually had met before that, I think at CTN. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it CTN that we first met?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was the first year I had got a table or was like actually able to get a table because there was like a waiting list for a lot of years. And then finally like it happened. And I think it was hilarious too, because I think there was like 3 of us at one table. So we were all like literally like almost had no space, at that point. What was that trip like? I think you had flew down from Illinois, and what was that like? I've always been meaning to ask you like how that CTN trip came together.
Yeah, so I started attending CTN in 2018 after one of my parents' friends actually was like, she had been involved in the industry for a while and she had a lot of friends working in the industry. And so she had a lot of, answers to my questions that my parents could not answer. And so they told me to talk to her, and I ended up becoming Facebook friends with her and sending messages back and forth. And she was like, if you want to work in the industry, you have to go to CTN. You have to see what it's like, meet the people, like you have to network, you have to do all these things. And I was like, okay, totally. And
nice.
So it was really the best advice anyone could have given me. So I told my parents, I was like, hey, I have to do this. And we ended up making like a little family trip of it, and stayed out in LA and did some things afterwards. But that was probably one of the like best experiences that I'd ever had. Like it was like the best possible weekend. I got to meet so many people. I really got a better, like, just in those 3 days, I got such a better grasp about the animation industry in itself and what was needed to be successful in it. I met so many people, got to attend so many panels, and just in 3 days, I feel like my knowledge
Wow.
about the industry went from like the outsider kind of like knowledge
Right.
like anyone can grab from the internet to being like so much more immersed and having like so much more knowledge. And yeah, I got the opportunity to meet artists like yourself, who like I was able to make a connection with, and from there got to grow past CTN and took classes with you, and they were fantastic, and I learned so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
So I really
I
appreciate
paid her
that.
to say that, so
Yeah. By the way, no. Go check out his website. No.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get back to teaching because that whole thing. We actually ended up collaborating on a class together that I do want to promote in this podcast. So I will be getting back to that because I think it's a phenomenal and probably the most original class that like I think uh, I've ever been a part of. I feel like the promotion of it was a little lacking on my end, so hopefully this will start to make up for, the promotion of your amazing class. But yeah, that trip was amazing. For me, CTN was something that I always dreamed of. I'd already been in the industry and started hearing rumblings of like this like big convention that was going to happen, and when it started to happen, I remember like, wow, like, why did it take so long for somebody to think of this? Because there was like Comic Con and there was like a few other things, but I never felt like it was like a place I really felt like represented what I wanted to do in animation. So when like CTN happened, that to me was just like everything just came together. I mean, it was more for feature people, uh, but I felt like they welcomed the television people, like you and myself, in and said, "Oh, you guys are our extended cousins. You guys are great," and but there was so many like incredible booths too. It isn't like what's amazing is you walk the floor and there's like, oh my gosh, there's like the supplies I used to draw, or there's like one of the sketchbooks like I love to to sketch with, or there's like art books, or you would like discover somebody just handcrafting their characters or doing like tons of like fan art. And I mean there's just so much richness to that experience. I joked with a friend of mine, I'm like, I wish we could live here. I wish this could just be like a place where we all lived in the same community, and every door you knocked on would just be like another like artist.
It is truly just a wonderful experience. It's always been so motivational to me. Whenever attending expos, like there's so many creative and talented people, and you never know who you're talking to at these events. Like you really just don't know. Like sometimes you recognize
Hmm.
their name or their face from something online, but there's so many people who attend who you would never know that who they are, what they do, and you just learn about them and they learn about you, and it's truly unique thing to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's funny because like you kind of started by attending one of these shows, and then at a certain point you worked. I want to say either CTN or Lightbox, one of these really big shows for like Nickelodeon, or I forget if was it CTN or was it Lightbox. Which one did you get a chance to help out at?
So I've been involved with both. It's been like the best experience ever on both ends. At Lightbox, I did get to help out at the Nickelodeon booth. They had staff and employees like signing up, and you could help out with the booth for like an hour over the weekend, which was really fun getting to talk to so many people. It was nonstop, and I was like, my voice, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun. There's so many people who are so excited about the industry and talking to studios, and it's so refreshing to see that. And so I got to help out with the booth a few times at Lightbox.
Wow.
And then I've also gotten to speak on a few panels at Lightbox, and then a panel at CTN as well, and also help out with their life drawing at CTN with my dog doing some life drawing last year, which was
Oh
really
my gosh.
yeah.
If any of you guys do not know, Bolt has been such an incredible part of your life. I got to meet Bolt when he was a puppy. I want to say he wasn't even a year old yet
Mm.
when I met him, but he was big as can be. I mean, just you think of a puppy, it was like this tiny thing, but like when I met him, he was already like pretty big guy.
Yeah, we
Um,
moved out here when he was 4 months old. So
oh, that's right, 4 months. Oh my gosh, yeah. Going back to that, so you're from, I believe it's Normal, Illinois. I think that's where
yeah.
um, you're from. And so growing up, like, were you sort of like the odd one, like wanting to work in animation, where people like, hey, like, they don't do animation here, like you got to go like somewhere else to do it. um like what kind of led you to like this path of wanting to be in the animation industry?
So I've been drawing ever since I was very little. I got into it from just like watching animated movies, and particularly Spirit from 2002 from DreamWorks. And I just
Great
started doing
movie.
courses, and it was, over and over, just like obsession about it. And, then I started drawing other things too. But it wasn't until I was 9 years old that I really understood that you could work in anime. Like people made these movies, they didn't just magically appear out of nowhere. And
Right.
it was actually after seeing the movie Bolt that I was watching the credits, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could work on a movie, and and I remember I was at my friend's house, and she had it on DVD, and we watched it through, and she's like, okay, like let's go play or something, and I was looked at her and I said, can we watch that again? And she was
Whoa.
like, what? And I was like, I
Wow.
need to watch that again. And and she was like, okay, I was like, what? So we watched it again, and by this time it was like time for me to like go back home. And so I remember, and she lives just across the street from me. So I remember I walked back to my house, and I walked in the door, and my dad was making dinner or something. And I walked in. I
Hmm.
said, I'm going to work in animation.
Wow, just like that.
Yeah. And my parents,
Amazing.
what? What are you talking about? And I was like, I'm going to work in animation. And at the time, I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that I was going to do it. And
Wow.
um, and so I started drawing a lot more and like looking into this different studios and what they were doing. And we started going to the movie theater a lot more than we had been. When I was in high school, we started going every week to a new movie because they had this
Nice.
like $5 Tuesday thing, and we go on Tuesdays, and it was like our family outing for the week too, kind of thing. But
Yeah,
we started a new
popcorn isn't even $5 anymore, by the way. So just
yeah. I know,
those are the
but
good
yeah,
old
it became
days.
like
$5
way
a
more
ticket?
important to stay up to date on like what was coming out and what they were doing, and then I started learning softwares. I started learning Maya because that was like industry
Right.
standard, and started trying to teach myself that, and just kind of like became more immersed in it. And then when I was in high school, my dad found out that the university that he works at, um, you can actually do a dual enrollment program for anyone in high school.
Wow.
And if anyone's looking to like, further their education or just like, get ahead, I highly recommend looking into dual enrollment. It was probably one of the best decisions that I had ever made in my high
That's
school career.
amazing. I
Um,
didn't even know that. That is
yeah, it's
incredible.
and it's fantastic too. So what separates dual enrollment from AP classes? AP classes are set up. You're still like in your like high school essentially,
Hmm.
and then you take a test at the end, and I think you have to score a 5, or that's what it used to be. You had to score like a perfect 5 on it, or else you didn't get
Right.
any of the credit, and those credits went towards your college career. Where dual enrollment is different because you're actually attending the actual physical college class. and you're gaining college credit just by going. There's not like a giant test at the end. You're just in the class. And it
Whoa.
also is very helpful because you're saving on tuition. You don't pay for tuition. You only pay for the
Ah,
class.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so it also helps with like an affordability, for college and stuff. And so I had
Right.
enough credits built up that when I actually went to the university as a full time student, I had enough that I went in as a sophomore. I didn't have to do it freshman year at
Oh
all because
my
I had all my
gosh.
freshman credits.
That's incredible.
So
I
I
mean,
saved.
talk about like a huge savings. You have an amazing, experience, and yeah, like, and if anyone's ever met your dad, he's probably one of the smartest people like I have ever met. I think he does the type of math that like only like a handful of people can do for is it like rockets and NASA, like all kinds of like stuff that I mean, I'm just like, oh wow, like
He's so brilliant. He definitely is, and I'm so glad that he like found out about this program and was so like he's always been very supportive of me getting into these things, and which has just been really really great. And so yes, I took classes. Another benefit to it was that I got to know so many of the students there and the faculty that when I actually became a full time student, it was easy because I already knew
Yeah,
all these people. It wasn't like they were just starting to know me. Like this was like an experience that had been already built up over like 4 years. And also
wow.
during high school, another opportunity that I was able to um, have is I went to Interlochen Arts Camp, and that's up north. And it was just a fantastic experience. I did a 3-week animation program there, and
Nice.
it was the best. I'm so thankful that I got to go. It was a fantastic experience. We ended up actually doing an entire 16-week animation course in 3 weeks because
Oh my gosh.
everyone in the class was so like they wanted to know more, and
Oh
it
my
was the
gosh.
energy was incredible for those entire 3 weeks being there. And that's really what locked me in. I was like, this is if this is a taste of what I where what it's gonna be like, then this is what I want. And so yeah, so between that and then and like I said, CTN and starting to get more immersed in the animation world of things, I was like, this is where I belong. Like this feels
This
so
is
right.
you.
And yeah, and I'm so glad that I pursued it the way I did and had the support too. And I did have a lot of like college professors who were like it was very like gallery orientated,
Oh,
like
okay.
gallery arts and stuff, which is fine. It's brilliant,
Yeah, for
thing to work
sure.
in and everything. And I have so much respect for gallery artists, but it was kind of hard because it was like, well, I want to work in TV and I want to work in film, and like it's very different for them. And a lot of the faculty who had been working there hadn't really experienced that before, of someone
Mm,
coming in and being so persistent about pursuing a career in animation, to the aspect that I was. And they at the time didn't have a animation program, and I started pushing them towards it. I had met with the dean and the chair and my advisor like multiple times about getting these
oh,
things.
wow. So you're already innovating. You're like, hey, like we don't have this, we need to have this. And that's really amazing that you took it upon yourself to basically just create something like almost out of nothing and literally go and lobby for it as well. I mean, talk about like being a driven student, a driven person. I mean, I mean, I'm in awe. That's incredible. Like, just you make me feel so lazy every time I talk to you. I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I need to like step it up and
That's my 80.
be at the Rachel level because
Well, it was a lot. It was a lot of like lot of conversation, and it wasn't until let me think. I don't know. I don't think it was until like I was a full time student. I want to say. Yeah, I think it was like my first year as a full time student that we actually hired like an animation professor, and we had an animation
whoa,
class. And again, it was like traditional animation, so it more fit in with the kind of art forms that they taught at the school. But it's a fantastic art school, fantastic art school.
Like
Top notch
traditional,
people.
meaning like software traditional, or did you guys actually like do stuff on paper? Like what? You got to do it on paper. Wow.
Lots
Oh,
of paper, claymation, and erase and redraw were the main like
wow.
subjects of the class, which was fantastic. I loved it. I had so much fun in that class. We had a fantastic professor, um,
That's
and
awesome.
she was always so supportive. Like I'm so thankful that I was able to meet her and like have her support through my college career. She's fantastic. She still teaches there. And then they also started building out their like game design program and got a
Oh,
game
got
design
it.
major. And last year I got the opportunity to go back as a guest speaker, and
Oh, amazing.
I had the incredible opportunity to sit down with the dean and be told in person that they will now have an animation major. And a lot
Oh
of
my
the reason
gosh.
why is because I was pushing them for so many years too.
Wow. I'm surprised they're not like, hey, like, do you want to come run it? You want to come run this program for us? Because, we could definitely
So
use a great professional to do this. But that is so amazing again that like you're not waiting for anybody to start something, or you're not one of those people who just like complains, oh, I wish we had this, I wish we had that, how come we don't have, like, you just like stand up and do something, which I think so many people, especially like people coming from other states to come work in the industry. I know for myself, originally being from California, um, I felt it was like I didn't have to like really get up and move anywhere. It was like already there. So when I started getting like, coworkers from, Illinois and the East Coast, yeah, you definitely saw something different. You saw like people who like were so driven and just absolutely like were in it to win it. They're not there to mess around. I mean, they're great people to have, great conversations, but you could just tell like they were just ready to go, like it's game on, so I've always had a huge respect for the East Coast and Midwest artists. Um so like while this is all happening, um so you go through the program, you graduate, and then like was that around the time the CTN and everything was starting to happen? I'm pretty sure, did you graduate when we got a chance to work together already? I think you did, right? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I graduated. So I started attending CTN in 2018, and then I went to Lightbox and CTN in 19, and then COVID hit in 2020, and I graduated in 2020.
Oh my
So
gosh. During COVID,
yeah,
did you like literally like did you guys like how did that like whole thing pan out? Did you end up doing classes just like remotely? And wow.
yeah, we went home for spring break, and then all of our classes moved online, and we just finished out the rest of the semester, which was sad because it
Mm,
wasn't like we didn't get to say goodbye to anyone.
mm,
We didn't like we had our artwork
sad.
still at school because it was spring break, and so we had to like make schedules to go and pick up all of our stuff from our drawers that we kept at school. And so we had
Whoa.
individual drawer date. There was no one there, not even the teachers. They didn't say goodbye to anyone. And then our graduation got put online too. And so it was just like,
Oh,
thanks
just
for
like
being
that.
here.
Yeah, like yeah, just that whole thing where like your family's there, like everyone gathers, and it's just like this whole big like amazing thing. Like, I just did not think about that. Like how that impacts, so many different people. I mean, again, COVID, when it hit, I mean, it's just like nothing we'd ever seen before, and I hope, knock on wood, that you didn't get it, but I got it like I want to say like first wave, like it hit
Mhm,
me
I did too.
super hard, and like I remember I was part of the strain where like I lost my sense of smell, and um I feel like I got it a few more times after that, and it didn't hit me as hard as it did the first time. But I actually had a friend from high school who was like pretty much laid up in the hospital for like, I want to say like a month. I mean, it was just like really terrifying. But yeah, just one of those things that like, I'm sort of like like boomer mentality. Like I go to work, like that's like I get in my car and drive to a location and then I sit and I work, like that's always been my thing. So suddenly that was all gone. And, I'm just like, in my home converting, pretty much one of my guest bedrooms into like a workspace. And it was kind of interesting too, because me and my wife sort of became coworkers at that point. Um, I think maybe you had come by a few times. The Newhall house had been converted into a whole thing. This background that I currently have behind me is from my Newhall COVID location.
Funny.
I'm in Texas now, so this is my little bit of California behind me. But I really do have such a huge respect for weather now because I actually have we see snow every year, and nothing as crazy I think as what you've experienced in your region, but yeah, it's an experience. I'm just like, wow, like this is what a thunderstorm could be like. This is what a tornado could look like. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I'm just prepared for earthquakes. That's all I've ever been prepared for my whole life. So I'm like, oh great, what do I do now? But there's something when we first moved here to Texas, like we're in a part that's like not very developed, so it's just tons of farmland, just tons of like animals, and I mean it's just so beautiful to just like drive and see nothing but sky. And it's very flat here, so the trees are sort of like my mountains. um but it's incredible, like just how quiet things are. And like I used to like where I lived in Newhalls, was a little bit noisy, the street I lived by. So I'd always put on like sounds of nature to like fall asleep. Now I just have sounds of nature. I just open my window and I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Yep.
kind of nice. But I do miss all my friends and everybody in California. So I try to come out once a year. I've been missing going to Lightbox and CTN, because that's just I think a great opportunity to see everybody at one time. So I'm definitely going to try and make it out. Very soon, hopefully for this year.
You
Uh,
should definitely.
I do. I miss everybody, and it's just like I have a ton of family out here now in Texas as well, so it's almost like a little mini California. But there's people from everywhere, especially like New York, Chicago. Like there's a lot of people that have like landed in Texas for one reason or another, work wise. But yeah, it's a very fun place. Very very fun. Again, when I love to go and physically draw at places. I'll bring my sketchbook and go draw, and it's just such a funny thing to see somebody like literally like a farmer with like overalls just staring at me like, what is he doing? Like what is going on? So the subjects that I study now, like have grown a lot because there's so many more interesting characters out here, but yeah, I think again too what was also really wonderful being part of your story was when you decided to make the move to come out to California, which was really amazing. I mean, I could not believe you couldn't have been what more than 20 years old or maybe even younger than that when you decided to move out to California. Um, that was an amazing thing. I don't know if you could talk a little bit about that, the courage that it took for you to just like say, all right, I'm just going to come move out here.
So yeah, I was 22 at the time, and I had a few months before I moved, I had started talking to recruiters at Nickelodeon, and I started interviewing for different shows at the studio and everything. And it was actually the third interview that I had, like third show that I had interview was Max in the Midnights, and that's the show that I was hired on to. And I was hired on as a production assistant for the show for their season one, and it was so wild. Like it all felt like it happened so fast because I went from working. I was an aquatics coordinator before that, and I went from that role to telling my boss that I had landed a job at Nickelodeon and that I would be
He's like,
moving.
what?
And he was like, "What?" Um, yeah, and then I wanted to move before my start date because I didn't want to be working like a full time job and having to move
Yeah.
and like the stress. So we immediately started packing and trying to find an apartment. And you were a big help in that, finding a place.
Oh,
So I
I,
greatly appreciate that. That made things a lot
well,
easier.
I was happy because I'm like, oh, she's got to come to the city, we live in, because I'm like, that'd be so awesome. We could all like hang out and, just do fun stuff together. And, I think rent was like decent, there, because everywhere else was like so expensive. So,
Yeah, it was the best that I had found. So it worked out. It really worked out. And so yes, we had like 3 weeks to lock that place down and move and drive across country. And then and at the same time while all of that was happening, my boss at the Y had a conference to go to in Florida. And so he was out of office for
oh
my
my
entire
gosh.
last week, pretty much, of working there. And so
Oh,
I had to be at the Y for like 7 hours a day, like Monday through Friday, while also trying to pack and like manage all of that. And so
oh
my
my
my best friend
gosh.
came over and her and my mom and my dad just started like packing up moving boxes for me, like just like huge
Yeah.
help. Like the support system was incredible, and I'm so thankful for all of them for their support and like doing that and everything. And so, they would be at home doing that, and I would come home and then we'd do more packing. It was wild. And finally, we got everything in order. Ordered the U-Haul and got everything that I had collected for when I did move out into my own apartment. So I was living at my parents' house to just save money, and then I moved. And then I think a week. I think I moved in a week before I started my
I
job.
think it
So
was, yeah. I know there
yeah,
was a tight schedule, and there was like yeah, I felt like everything sort of happened within a day or 2 days, maybe. Like, I remember when you got here and it was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. Let's like start moving and getting it all going. I think Daniel Murillo was there. Your friend also from California and her family. And I must say too, I feel so lucky and privileged to have like known and met your mom. What a wonderful person, so gifted and so talented in her own right. Um, yeah, I miss her a great deal. My wife talks about her from time to time and is like, "Gosh, Kathy was so fun. I mean, just such a sweet person." And I could see a lot of her in you for sure. And I know she's, still looking over you always.
definitely. Yeah, she's a huge motivator for a lot of the things that I do and like working hard and everything. So I'm very
Hmm.
thankful that I had her for support for so long. And like I know that she's still with me and everything. But it was like that was another thing like going on during all of that. But
So
I'm so
much for
thankful
a
because
22-year-old. I just couldn't
yeah,
believe like the amount of like things that were happening in your life. But I mean, you just kept going for it. You know what I mean? Like you just, I really didn't never saw you slow down. You were just like, all right, I got to keep moving and doing my thing. And um, so I definitely was just so excited for you. I mean, like literally from like predicting it, all these years ago to like literally like the prophecy was fulfilled. Here you are, like, just as you said, it would happen, it happened. What was it like your first day of work? Because I don't know if in fact, because of COVID, were you allowed to go into your job yet, or is it still like an online thing, or like what was that like?
so it was very weird because we were still supposed to be remote. No one was allowed in the building. So we worked completely remotely from like they had been working remote because they already been on the show for like 4 months. A lot of the people when I was brought on,
Okay.
so we were working still remote from February when I started until August. And August they opened the studio, and we had a welcome to the studio because they had hired so many people who had never been there before, and so they had to have
Whoa.
like tour guides going around and showing, showing groups of people where
Whoa.
everything was, because so many had never been there. And it was like, it was such a fun day because it was also the first day that like my team got to be in person. We got like assigned our cubicles.
Mm.
I don't know, it was so much fun. Everyone was so excited to be around each other again and be in the studio and be able to say like, here's where I work. It's not my house,
Right?
you know.
Yeah, because I feel like that just doesn't, like every time like I would get a job, going to the studio was such a big part of like everything you think of when you're growing up and you're like, wow, it's this big magical building and there's other artists. And so when like you're just at home, it's still amazing, but it just kind of doesn't feel the same. And for those of you who don't know, Nickelodeon had just built an incredible new building, and in Burbank, the sort of heart and capital of the animation industry. And this building was just spectacular. I've only been there twice, and I think it was just like drop off some freelance or something. But I mean, talk about amazing. You walk in there, and it's just like artwork and like just beautiful like places to sit and have lunch. I mean, oh my gosh, I am so jealous of like the time you must have spent there, which is just really I mean, I don't know if like the different floors you had to have a different key card to get in or not, but like did you just explore like the building and be like, oh, I'm gonna go to like check out this show and check out that show? Like what was that like though? Like just kind of finally being at the studio.
Yeah, it was incredible. We have there's like a little art gallery in the first floor that you can go, and they have all the binders of like previous shows to look through, and
Mm.
every show would get their like gallery space time, which it was really cool. We got our time to put maximum minutes in there, and we were printing out images from the show on our large printer and getting them in there and framing stuff. And it was uh, it was a long time, before we got to do that. But when we did it, it was really incredible. It was great to have a little gallery show, and everyone could be proud of the work that we were presenting and everything. And so we did that. And yeah, you could just move around the building. You could go check out what other people were doing. Um, People are still hybrid though, at Nick's.
Oh,
A
okay.
lot
So it
of people
wasn't
did work
quite
from
full
home.
yet. Like it was
Mhm.
still kind of like a few people were at home.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of people who still worked at home and like randomly would come in. So it was, I don't know, it was definitely different
Excuse
from what people would like, remember. And they'd be like, oh, I remember when before COVID,
me.
kind of like those kind of stories. And so it's still different in that aspect. So my experience being there was still in a hybrid workspace. So even like I would do that too. Like I would work from home some days or go in. It would really depend on what was going on. Our show was very busy. And so we had a lot of meetings. And so sometimes it worked out
Wow.
better to just be able to be home and and take them all from home because you were just going to be stuck in your cubicle anyways. But
Well, I think too, the one thing I loved about being in a studio is, at least from the studios I worked at, pets were always like a big part of it. So people would just, be able to work and then also have their best friend with them. And did they ever let you bring Bolt into the studio with you, or was he your constant sidekick?
yeah, so since Bolt was my service dog, he was allowed to go to the studio. But otherwise, there wasn't really any like pets. They would have puppy days sometimes, and like
Oh, there you
like
go.
the studio, like they had events for them to like bring in animals and stuff. Those are really fun.
Oh.
But yeah, Bolt was a part of our crew, and he went with us, and he joined us for meetings. Like he went to like all the meetings and stuff. So he was just a much a member, and he was treated like it too.
I hope he got a credit. I hope they gave him a credit
I
on the
wish he
show.
did.
Okay. he's living out the dream too, by the way. He came out, to California with you to take part in this adventure.
Very much so.
What was California very different from what you thought it was? I don't know if you got a chance to visit beforehand, or if you had, like, when you moved out here, was this your first time going to California?
So the first time that I went to California was actually when I was 6 years old, and
Mm.
it was at that time we got home, and I looked at my dad and I said, "When are we moving?"
Oh
He
my
was like,
God.
What are you talking about?" And I was literally 6 years old. I asked him, I was like, "When are we moving?" He's like, "We're not moving." Like, what gave you that idea? And I wanted to be out here so badly. And every year for like my Christmas list, I literally put "move to California" on my Christmas list.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it came to the point where my dad had to, Rachel, you can move out there when you can move out there. I'm not moving out there. We're not moving out there. And so it became a joke kind of. And so when I
Oh,
did get to move, though, it was like
yeah.
this,
Jokes on who? Who's the joke really on, right?
like, yeah, like lifelong thing that I wanted since I was little. And I didn't know at the time that I wanted to work in animation when I was 6. I just knew I wanted to live in California.
Oh, wow.
And so then, yeah, so when I was like, "Oh, look, animation's in California. This is, it's perfect. I'm going to do this." So it was really cool.
Was it
But
like
yeah.
a trip to the parks or anything when you were 6? Did you get to go to like Disneyland or like any one of those? Oh yeah. See, that's like we're my daughter's gonna be 3 this year, and we are just like we need to get her out there because she is just so invested in like Disney princesses, Frozen in particular. Elsa is like all over this house. I mean, she just like she wears her Elsa dress and sleeps with her Elsa doll, and she just like sings the songs. I mean, it's just such a, she loves, like, anytime I'm drawing or like working on something, she has to come in, sit on my lap, and like steal my stylus and start just sketching.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so amazing. I feel like now she'll really actually get a chance to like really love, because we took her to Disneyland, but she was still pretty young. I want to say she was like just turned 2, so she kind of didn't really like understand it as much now. But I feel like if we go soon, she's gonna absolutely just be like in love with the experience. She's probably gonna say the
Definitely.
same thing. Why don't we live here? I'm like, well, we used to live here, but
Oh,
but I think we are getting in the city that's very close to us called Frisco, like a Universal
oh, nice.
Studios, but it's like a kid version, which
Hmm.
I still think is great. We're gonna get passes regardless. Like you know, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of like theme parks or anything really to go to out here, which I really do miss. Like, we were Disneyland annual pass holders, and then we also had the Knott's Berry Farm one and the Six Flags one as well. So we were just like habitual users of the theme parks. At one point, they were actually our gym because I
Yep.
hate I hate the gym and I hate like treadmills and all that. So I'm like, let's just go and walk the parks. Like, we don't have to go on rides. We could just walk the parks and just enjoy the music, enjoy the smells. We'd always end up like eating tons of junk food, so it probably never was like a good idea. But oh, and my wife hated going with me because I would always make her go to the animation building in California Adventure, and I'd do multiple times drawing the character. She's like, "Why do we have to keep doing this?" I'm just like, "It's so much fun. Get a big
It is.
pencil and like animation paper, and it's just I just ate it up." Do you still go to the parks, or is that like something you stop? Elevate your visual storytelling with my transformative 6-week online course, Storyboarding for Streaming. Whether you're an aspiring artist or a seasoned professional, I provide expert instruction through Zoom on essential techniques including thumbnailing, composition, and cleanup. Join me and a vibrant community of creators from the comfort of your own home to master the skills needed for the competitive world of television and streaming. Visit ADC School online today to register and unlock your potential as a master visual storyteller. You stopped doing because it just got too expensive, or?
I go to Universal Studios a lot more because it's closer, but I do have a Disneyland pass. I got that last year finally, and I try to go as often as I can. It has gotten more pricey, which is sad, but I still
Yeah,
very
I
much
heard.
enjoy going.
I heard, yeah, it just got like, we had I think the most expensive pass too. The one like I only had like maybe one blackout date a
Hmm.
year. And yeah, I hear that pass is just like no more. Like you can't even get that pass anymore. But it was just so great. Like now we'll go and like we'll plan it. We're like, okay, let's try and like, have a big trip out of it and everything. But I'm hoping we can get back soon, and I'll maybe like squeeze it into like Lightbox and CTN and be like, all right, we just got to get a day to take
You really
off,
do.
and I probably will. It's funny too because my favorite ride is actually at the Florida Disney World. Tower of Terror was like my all time, well, not my all-time favorite. Haunted Mansion's my all-time favorite, but Tower of Terror is still up there for me.
I love
Um,
that.
Technically, where we are, we're actually closer to the Florida location than we are to the California one. But I'm kind of scared to go because I feel like it's so massive. Like I would be like so overwhelmed with like how
It's a lot bigger in Florida. It's crazy.
you've gone to both. So if you had to choose, which one's your favorite?
Oh my goodness. Like
I'm
them
putting you
both
on the
for like
spot.
different reasons. Like there's a lot to do at Disney World. Like you have like the four parks opposed to just like technically the two, for Disney here.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate how it's way easier to get to things here. You could just walk across the way and you're at California Adventure essentially, but in Florida you have to take like buses and everything. So
Oh, I didn't know that. See, that's what I'm scared of. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be
it's a bit
total
more
like
complex, yes.
I'm gonna be like a rookie and like not know what I'm doing, waste the whole day, like oh my gosh. But no, I think that's another thing too that a lot of people don't realize. Like people who work in the industry love to go to theme parks. They love to be part of like the culture, and I think too, like when you go into a park, you can get like people doing caricatures. You can get people doing like drawings of your favorite characters. Um, there's just so much you can do to actually like not only have a connection with rides, but just a connection with drawing in general.
Hmm.
I think that's like something that I really love about the Disneyland, especially, is how much of a connection it has back to those films, and just the fact that Walt walked that park and walked, those areas and kind of mapped out different things. I think is really like special and magical. But
Hmm.
oh my gosh, like yeah, the crowds now. I mean, I I used to go to Disneyland. This will like trip you out. Like when I was 8 years old, and this is like not the Disneyland of today where everybody's like in love with it. And we would rent the whole park out because my aunt worked in the for the gas company, and they would rent the entire Disneyland for like just for employees and like friends and family, so you could go on anything you wanted multiple times because there was nobody there. We didn't even fill like a quarter of the park. So, but again, it was definitely not the Disneyland of today where, everything's like super amazing. Um, but so anyway, you started doing stuff for Max and the Midnights, like that show in particular too. I think you guys were using Unreal Engine, if I'm not mistaken. Like how did that kind of like change the way you looked at shows? Was Unreal Engine sort of like, I know you said it like was making the storyboarding section like a bit different. I don't know if you can go into that a little bit. I'm just kind of nerding out on.
Yeah, so you're correct. We did use Unreal, which was the first time that Nickelodeon had ever tried this. which was really fantastic for us because we got to explore that and be, the first show to ever try it. And there was a lot of, does this work? No. Okay, let's pivot over here. It's like a lot of switching our workflow to try to get to the best way of doing things. And so it was a bit of a challenge because we had to pivot a lot, and then we would figure out what would work and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And it helps so much to be able to find those things that did work. And luckily, we had such a fantastic team, and we all became so close. It was such a
Mm.
wonderful experience for who we were working around, and our fantastic team. Like, I can't sing their praises enough. How incredible and talented they all were. And even like everyone would, you know, be totally available that you could talk to. It never felt like someone was too high up. Like they never felt unapproachable. Like you could just approach anyone and
Mm.
talk to them, and they're so welcoming. And the collaboration that happened on the show that was so unique because anyone who had an idea was allowed to speak. And even myself as a PA, I could throw out ideas and they would actually get listened to and used, which I did not expect at all. And
Right, right.
it totally, it totally, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm so thankful that they had such like an open mind policy to things on my show. But it was a bit of a challenge to find what did work, and I think it was because of um, how supportive everyone was of each other, that we wanted it to work, and
Yeah.
everyone just had extreme love for the show. And I think that you can see that in a lot of the episodes, and if not all of them actually, and in all the scenes and everything, and down to the finest detail. It was important. Every detail
Hmm.
mattered in the show, especially because we could really explore these areas because everything was front loaded. So we had all of our assets up front. So right as we had the script and we knew what needed to be in it, we could move forward with designing them. And we designed them and modeled everything. And then the directors had all of their assets to be able to go in with a previs artist and sit down and shoot the episode as if you were, kind of playing
Wow.
with figure toys, essentially, just on the computer. And they would shoot the entire episode, and then they would give it to the storyboard artists, and the storyboard artists would have their scenes. The editor would, cut down the scenes to give to the storyboard artists, and they would get them, and they would give the action and emotion into the scenes by just drawing over the characters who everything was already staged from the director.
Whoa.
So
So no staging was necessary, no thumbing, like
yeah,
they
they
pretty
had all
much.
the information.
Oh wow, that's incredible. I heard like something like that with the Avatar movies where like James Cameron just had this like views like screen or something, and he would just like walk around and like literally frame all his shots. Um wow, so that's pretty incredible where you can literally just like draw over what, like just the faces or like the full body,
They would do
like.
full body.
Oh, so like basically they could just work on performance at that point and
Mhm.
get oh my god, I'd love to see. I don't know if they've ever like highlighted any of that and like any of the behind the scenes stuff, but
There
um
is some behind the scenes stuff that Nickelodeon has posted on their social media channels. If
oh
you just
okay.
search Max the Midnights, then it should come up and you'll be able to see some of the behind the scenes stuff. But yes, from there, then we would ship it off to our vendor studio, Eccentrics, and they did the animation for us, and we worked with them, and they working with a vendor studio, you shipped out things to them, and they you know we would ship our
Like,
designs to them and they would model it, and we'd get the models back and then we'd give notes and send it back to them. And it's just this kind of like back and forth process until things get approved. And that's kind of how every stage works when you're working with a vendor studio. And it was great. It was great getting to know them and seeing,
were
their
they
team grow and our team
overseas or
grow.
were they close by or were they like
They're in
in
India.
oh India, okay, got it, yeah. Yeah, usually now too, like you see a lot of Canada. When I was doing a lot of work, it was also like Korea, Japan was kind of the more expensive place, but um, it's funny. Like when I remember shipping those packs out, I would literally see people actually have physical materials that they had to like FedEx out or UPS overnight. I'm guessing everything you guys did was digital, so it was probably just
Mhm.
a digital delivery. Um, but so how long was it before they were like, okay, Rachel's awesome. How can we promote her?
So, so we were able to expand our team, and from there, I was promoted to asset coordinator. So I was, in particularly working with coordinating all the models and sets and props, and I got two PAs of my own to work with. They were fantastic. And we had like our little asset team, and other people who were on the
Nice.
show also moved to being coordinators in the episodic realm of things. And we got, we just expanded the team, and it was so fantastic to have more support and to be able to share the Max and the Midnight's world with more people, and fill out our team and everything. And yeah, so it was a great opportunity, and I learned so much from it. It was just incredible. I think like there was so much information and new things, and it really pushed me, which I so appreciated because I like a challenge. and
Yeah,
um,
clearly.
yeah, it was that for a while, and then by the end I was like, I can do this next week. But yeah, like it was so great. And then in addition to coordinating all of the props, sets, and characters and everything from those builds, I also had to track the set lighting. So the set lighting is the overall lighting for a environment, and it's like basic kind of lighting that you'll always see it in, unless there's a special thing that happens within like the scene, and then that would be scene lighting.
Mm,
So set lighting and scene lighting are a bit different. So episodic was working on the specific scene lighting where I was tracking the set lighting. So I was working with like our CG supervisor and our lighting director to get those notes out and back to Eccentric so they could update things and send it back and make sure we had meetings going and notes were getting out on time, and all of
wow.
those kind of things were being coordinated all at the same time, which was a lot. It was a lot to track, but it was good. Like it was like a good challenge of making sure things were together, and I really really enjoyed it. And right now, I rolled off that in last April, which was kind of sad because it was like this huge
Yeah.
piece of my life was just like it's time, it's time to say goodbye to it. And it was sad. I was sad. I'm still sad sometimes because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like I miss it. But fantastic experience, and fantastic team. We actually had our like series wrap party
Mm,
last week, and it was
oh,
so wild to have to say like series wrap party. Um,
wow.
and yeah, but it was great to see everyone again, and hear what everyone's doing and catch up with everyone. And it's just a good environment to go back into.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, like, and I always tell everyone this, like, the production side of projects is they are the true unsung heroes. The artists get all the sort of fame and, everyone wants to talk to them. But honestly, I feel like as a person working on shows, the production people were the true backbone in a lot of ways because, they kept the schedule. They kept us, if we needed stuff, it was like, especially like the personality of artists, we can be sort of uh flaky and temperamental and all kinds of things, and the production side's always there to kind of like wrangle everything and say, all right, but we got to stay on schedule, guys, we got to keep this party moving. um and I always told everybody this: whenever you get onto a show, the first person you should look to find and take out to lunch is your production person. Either your the PA on the show, the for me for storyboard, it was a storyboard coordinator. And I always said, be friends with them because they're going to know things before you do. Like, as an artist, you're sort of the last person to get information. So people don't realize, like, if you're, talk to your production person, they're in the meetings you're not even allowed to be in. So they can see it from like both sides. And a lot of times I would get the heads up, like, hey, like, they like what you're doing here, they don't like what you're doing there, so keep doing that. So it was kind of nice to have that second set of eyes, and they were always able to kind of say, well, like, yes, they're pushing the schedule hard, but it's for these reasons. So you always kind of were like, oh, okay, I feel a little bit better now, working these late nights and stuff. But I was always a studio junkie, I think, like you too, just loved being inside of a studio, loved the people. And I think, to me, when I was starting my school, the Animation Design Center, of course I'm like, oh, well, it's got to be like teaching character design. It's got to be like storyboard, like all the fun stuff that people know and talk about. But when I got a chance to think about it, I was like, you know what? There's one place that's completely underrepresented, and that's the production side. And you're also something like incredible too, because a lot of times the production person isn't an artist, and you're that rare case where you are an artist. You actually have the disciplines and know the art form inside and out. So in a way, like, I was like, what would it be like if we offered a class that told the other side of the story, where like you actually, because a lot of times, people will like come out of college and they'll be like, well, I have to work in this particular job or nothing else. And I'm like, no, you know, do not have that mentality, because you are closing the door to like a million other opportunities. Your career is in my opinion, it's a very big, picture. Um, why take something off the table when, if something's being offered to you, take that opportunity? What do you say to those people who like went to school for a particular thing but aren't getting that thing and maybe offered something else? Like, what would you say to them?
Honestly, I think it can be hard sometimes because you want to do one thing, and that's fantastic that you are so drawn to something. But I think it's important to remember that just because, and I've had this conversation before with a few people, you know, being an artist is a very unique opportunity for people because you don't have to wait to be given permission to do something. And
Mm.
if you go to nursing school or you want to become a doctor or something, you have to get hired at a hospital, to be able to do the thing you love. You have to get that job. Where the unique thing for us, and it really for any position, you want to be a banker, you have to work at a bank. Like you have to get the job, right? In animation, it's so unique. And being an artist, you don't really have to wait for someone to hire you as a character designer. You can draw characters in your house without, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be given the permission to do what you love. And that's something that's like so unique about being an animation artist. And yes, it's great to have the job and everything. And sometimes though, if you get the opportunity to do something, you don't know how that opportunity is going to impact you. And just because you have something now doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be stuck in for the rest of your life. I've also met a lot of people in the animation industry who were working completely different jobs. I met someone once who was a brain surgeon, and he was tired of being a brain surgeon, and
Whoa.
he wanted to follow his dream and be an artist, and he was going to work in animation now. And I really hope that he got the opportunity to do that. And I think I met him at CTN one year, but it was like so unique. I was like, wow, what, and he was changing career paths, and at the time, he was
Wow.
much older, and he was gonna chase after the dream and see if it worked, and give it a shot. And I thought that was just wonderful, I think that's something that when you're younger, you don't really think about that much because people are so pushy about what's your major in college? What are you going to major
Mm,
in? And that like you can like I mean of course you could double major or something, you know, but even then it's like limiting yourself to one or two things. And I think that's really hard on people, and it kind of gives you like a one track mindset. And that's why people get so locked into, if I don't have this, I don't have anything. And
right.
I think that's a really hard place to be. And for myself, I like to explore different options. And if that means that I'm, you know, breaking myself and my time up into like different places throughout the day, then that's what it means. You know, I'm going to pursue what I want to pursue. I've been pursuing content creation over the past year while looking for my next role in animation. And I've been pursuing starting to build my own business, and I've been pursuing creating a pilot TV show. And all of these things somehow go hand in hand with each other. You know, it's all creative. It's all a creative outlet for myself. And I think that's what the most important thing is to find the outlet of things that you love and just, you know, be able to put yourself into, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because I love it. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that because I love it. And just finding those areas that you actually genuinely love and putting your time into them.
Hmm.
And that's what's going to make you happy too. And you don't have to be locked into one thing. And even if, I know a lot of people who want to be artists and they start in production even, you know, or they wanted to be an
Very
artist, they
true.
started in production, and they found they love production, they want to stay with it. You know, it really depends. You never know where that where your journey is going to pull you, and then what you're going to find out while being in that. Because every experience that you're put in, you're going to be learning something new about yourself. And if you limit yourself and your experiences, there's going to be parts of you that you never unlock in life. So I think just opening
Wow.
doors and just leaving them open is so, so important.
Well, that again, you know, I was like, there's so many people that don't know that. There's so many people are like, oh, well, like I would have to go to school for a completely different degree to work in production, and that's a lot of times not the case at all. You can still use your art, you know, degree. In fact, I think it actually helps
Hmm.
because you're around artists. You're an artist yourself, and you can help like facilitate that, you know, a lot easier in that job. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, that's the one class that like I don't see much of. I don't see people talking about production. And I think that's around the time we started formulating, you know, production for streaming. Because I have character design for streaming, storyboard for streaming, and I'm like, well, production for streaming, that might be kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And I was blown away. I mean, you handcrafted every class, pre-recorded footage, edit. I mean, it's amazing. It's a work of art.
Thank
And
you.
and I truly hope anyone listening who is like on the fence about wanting to not only like have art skills but also to have skills in production, because you know here's another area that I think it could help in. Now a lot of people are producing their own stuff, yourself included, and you have this incredible like production side to, you know, your skill set. So you can actually organize a project, which a lot of us, myself included, are really bad at doing. Or here's another thing: people can hire you to organize their next Kickstarter or their next, you know, production they're putting together. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, it just gives you so much more than the average person who may only have experience in one aspect of the industry. So it's so nice that like you're open to all things, and especially too, again, like your content creation is just amazing. I think you were like an early adopter of that too, because I remember even when you're working, you were doing like content for your Instagram, you know, TikTok. I was just like, where does she find the time to do all this stuff?
I don't
You
know.
know, like I'm just like, but I'm like, hey, like, you know, do it. Do everything you've ever wanted to do. I mean, there's literally no one that's ever going to tell you no, you know, because this is your dream. This is your path. I mean, since you were, like you said, 6 years old, you've known what you wanted to do, and you definitely have the courage to go after that. And if a lot of you guys don't know, especially in the animation industry, um, for a long time it was almost like all male. I mean, I remember working on shows where there was like one girl and that was it. And I'm just like, what the heck? Why is it like this? You know? And luckily over time it started becoming like, okay, well, like it's now 25%, you know, now it's like half, you know, which is like amazing too. So it's incredible to see like all these hurdles you've had to jump over, and you know, things that I just take for granted, you know, as a guy. But I think it's amazing. Like I said, there's truly nothing you can't accomplish. And if anyone out there is like feeling down on themselves and just saying, "Oh, you know, it's never going to happen for me," at 22 years old, I mean, you achieved so much. I mean, it just blew me away. I was just like, oh my God. And you're just getting started too. That's the crazy part. Like, this is just like the beginning of your story. So, I can only imagine the next chapters you're going to be writing. You know, whether you want to go back in the studio at this point, you know, now you got your own empire that you built.
Well, I very much want to get back to the studio. I miss being in like a team aspect. I miss that
Mm,
so much. I really cannot wait to contribute to the next show that I get to work on, just because of I have all this information. You know, when I started, I knew some stuff, but then it was such like I learned so much, and I'm like excited now to jump into my next role where I actually have the knowledge and confidence that I am taking away from having experience on a show and being able to come in and be like fully supportive, and be someone who can really take the challenge on and know what to do, to help lead people through and like looking ahead and helping navigate that scheduling and you know taking on even more responsibility now that I have the knowledge and support to do so, for
nice.
myself. So like I really cannot wait. I'm hoping to find like a feature too, because I think
Oh,
it's so
nice.
important. I think it's so important, especially when you're working in I mean for any aspect as like artist or production, but I think like it's so important for production to like experience different areas just so you can get
Hmm.
very well rounded and understand really deeper how things work. And even if things are totally different, you're going to just completely grow your skill set and your knowledge and just keep growing. And I think that's really
Mm.
like the most important thing is to never limit yourself. um, just keep growing and keep learning and taking those opportunities.
And also too, have a vision for yourself. Like I
Hmm.
said, the 6 year old version of you was already having a vision of what you could be, you know. And I think that's something that's lost in so many people. Even like later in life, you know, they just don't see a vision for themselves or don't feel like they're good enough or don't feel like this or that. But it's like, no, just it's okay to dream. It's okay
Hmm.
to want things. And sometimes it's like the universe is listening and saying, okay, you really want this? Okay. You know,
Yes.
I tell people now, be very careful what you wish for because you know what? You just might get it. You know?
Yeah. It is. It really is. And I think a lot of people forget that too because they get scared. Fear stops a lot of things. I saw this video earlier today actually that was talking about that, and it was like if you feel just total fear about something, then it probably isn't the right path for you. But if you feel excitement for something, you know, it's probably it's there's a reason for that excitement.
Mm,
But don't get too overwhelmed with that excitement that you don't actually act upon it, you know?
mm,
And so the right place to be is if you feel a fear of it not working out and an excitement for it working out. That's where you want to be. And that's how you know that that's like the right direction to be in because it's good to be like have a little bit of fear, like good fear,
hmm,
and
absolutely.
have that excitement towards the possibility of what if it works out.
Right? I
And
mean,
that's such a good place to be in, and I think we get lost in the what if it all goes wrong mindset more so than what if it all goes
true.
right mindset. And I know I'm guilty of that too. There's been days and I'm like, what am I doing?
You're
And
like,
you can get lost. It's very easy to get lost in your thoughts and not working towards it. And I think really having that vision, like you talked about, is so
mhm,
important. And really like sit down with yourself and think about like, okay, where am I going and what is the first step that I need to take to get there? And it's so easy to get overwhelmed and worked up to the thing that you want and not the steps that you need to take to get there
right.
is another aspect of things. So, making sure that you have those steps written out. Like, okay, what's the first thing I need to do? Okay, that's checked off. I could throw myself a little party. Yay. I took the first step. That's really the hardest part of anything is taking the first step. Um, Making it like doing an application. I've applied to so many jobs over the past year and, so many I don't
Yeah.
hear back from at all. And it can be discouraging. But
Mhm.
then, and even when you get interviews, even if you don't land the job, it's okay. I know, I know it's hard to say it because there have been interviews that I've had over the past year that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wanted that, but
Yeah.
they went with someone else, and I just tell myself it's okay because clearly it wasn't the right thing. And you also have to trust the people who you're interviewing with because they already know who's on the team so far and who's going to
Yeah.
work well together. And that's so important. And I think, especially after working on Max, like I saw that. I saw we had such a fantastic team. Everyone worked so well together. We all just like meshed together so it couldn't have been better. And that's why we were
Wow.
hired. That's why we were put on this team. And so every job that you don't get, don't think of it as like a discouragement. Think of it as, okay, that was clearly not the right one. And the right one
Mhm.
is still out there and there's still the potential that I could get the right one. And even if you get told like no like 1,000 times, it just takes one yes. And I know that sounds so silly, but like, and you hear that all the time, but that's really the case. And you're gonna land where you're supposed to be. And I think a lot of people get discouraged. But it's really important to just keep having the conversations that you're having, reaching out to people, asking questions. All of those things are extremely important.
Amazing. I can't tell you like the DMs I've gotten on LinkedIn where people like, I just watched the podcast and the words that, the person was saying just really like spoke to me and from all over the world. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people um, need this advice and need to hear this, because you sort of like feel alone in your experience and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the only person going through this. And it's just like, no, there's way more people out there going through similar things and finding hope is a truly wonderful thing, and I think, like I said, the current climate of the industry, um, things happen, things, go through, big changes. But I feel like this is our opportunity as creators to stretch a lot of muscles. I would never have done this podcast ever. Why? Why would I need to do this? But because I find myself in like, an opportunity where like I can do something that allows me to showcase and talk to my favorite artists, but there's also a chance people can get to know them and get to know your philosophies on life, your journey. To me, that is almost like its own college class. Where people are like, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you got into the industry this way. I thought it was like, so it's like it's wonderful to have these because I feel like they're so educational to people. Again, graduating now, like talk about another big, moments where people are getting into circumstances that are, very challenging. But who said it was going to be easy, right? Like who said, oh, you're just going to walk through everything. Every door is going to fly open
Yeah.
and everyone's going to applaud the moment you walk in the room. No, that's not
If
you know,
only.
yeah. I was, at least for me personally, I had to crawl to my victories. I'm literally, one finger getting to my goal and saying, "Oh my gosh,"
Yep.
oh,
I'm doing now though.
but anything worth having is worth fighting for, and
100%. And
anything.
that's it really is. And you see that too. And that's another reason why I wanted to start working. I've been working on the TV show that I'm launching myself. I'm going to be having a Kickstarter start in the summer for this
Oh,
project. And I've been working on this
nice.
since 2019 and slowly ramping it up and everything. And I want to just move on it because it's
Hmm.
a goal I've had and it's a goal worth pursuing, and I've had some wonderful conversations with people about it. And so now is the time to put in the hard work and get it really off the ground and everything. So I'm really excited about that. And it
Very
is worth
exciting.
having, and it's going to be hard work, but that's amazing. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it to do it.
Definitely. I mean, just one more feather in your cap, showrunner, show creator, I mean, all those things. I mean, it's just fantastic that like you literally just run to the fire and you're like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to do the hard jobs. So, um, amazing. Again, Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I will also put the production for streaming link in here, but
Fantastic.
where can people find you? Like you don't have to like remember every social media handle you have, but like let me ask this first. For professional, like let's say like your next show is watching this right now, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you?
Well, I do have my LinkedIn. You can find me there, Rachel Marx, MARX. And if anyone wants to reach out, I would love to chat. Just send me a message on there. I try to be pretty responsive. So yes, if anyone wants to reach out to me about either a job opportunity or just wants to chat more about what I've said or whatever, I'd love to have you reach out. You can find me there. I also have my Instagram account where I try to showcase my art, and then also I have just started taking my art social media more seriously. So I'm posting a lot more videos about different opportunities around Los Angeles and some industry information and stuff like that. And that can all be found at artsy.bolt. Yeah, so if you guys want to give me a follow, that would be also really cool. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Wonderful. And please do, like I said, anybody who has you as a friend truly has a richer life, because you truly do care about the people in your life. And I always see you like helping other people, which I'm like, oh my gosh, of course,
Aw, thank
you
you.
know. But definitely. So thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this. Again, hopefully the next trip I have to Lightbox or CTN, we can get together. Give a big hug and a kiss to Bolt for me.
I
I miss him
will.
dearly, and say hello to your dad too, if you can. So,
I
all
shall.
right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we will definitely be talking soon. Take care.